Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hivemind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. We are headed into the final stretch. January 5th, January 6th is the final frontier of the 2020 election, and things are getting a little bit interesting. There's a serious fragmentation happening within the GOP establishment. Those who are actively betraying President Trump, and those who are realizing President Trump and his populist policies, his rhetoric, his character, his charisma, what he's created is the GOP. There's no such thing as Mitch McConnell, George Bush, Jeb Bush, Mitt Romney's GOP of the past. It's dead in the water, and time will see to it that it ceases to exist in the future. I can pretty much promise you that one. And so that rift is reaching an ultimatum here and headed to the Electoral College certification within the House in early January. I believe there are a ton of GOP congressmen and women, and even some senators, who plan on rejecting the Electoral College decisions for many different states. And so this is quite interesting. Mitch McConnell urged Republicans not to do this, but it seems as though their loyalty does not stand with Mitch McConnell, but rather Trump. And so we're at a crossroads, folks, and things are about to get real interesting over the next 4 years, and especially during the 2022 midterms. Trump Republicans, populist Republicans, better start campaigning and getting ready to run, because there's going to be a ton of incumbents ready to be taken over in the next election cycle. And so for this video, I want to show you guys the good side of the GOP, and surprise, surprise, Ted Cruz is actually kind of on that side this time. And then I want to show you the absolutely despicable GOP establishment working against your interests behind closed doors. And so we got a ton to talk about, folks. A bunch of different interesting stories. We got to analyze exactly what's going on in Washington. But before we get into it, please make sure to leave a like, a comment, subscribe, share the video as much as possible. We are still shadow banned by the YouTube algorithm, hidden from non-subscribed viewers. Now with that out of the way, let's roll the tape. Alright, so here's the headliner story from The Hill. Growing number of GOP lawmakers back Electoral College challenge. A growing number of House Republicans say they will challenge the results of the 2020 presidential election when Congress meets to certify the Electoral College results on January 6th. The latest Republican to say he will do so is Representative-elect Madison Cawthorn, who will be part of the House when it convenes in early January. He implored other Republicans to also challenge the results in a video message, quoted as saying, "I have a message for all other Republicans across the country. If you are not on the record calling for fair, free, and just elections now and in the future, I will come to your district and I will fund a primary opponent against you." And I absolutely love it. And it's basically exactly what I said in the intro. Not doing this to help my career in Washington. In fact, this will most likely harm it, but no one should go to Washington as a career. Go there to serve the people. And on behalf of the people, I am contesting this election based on constitutional violations by key states. We've got this from Representative Jody Hice. Big meeting today with @RealDonaldTrump and @VP, the president's legal team, and @Freedom Caucus and other members of Congress. I will lead an objection to Georgia's electors on January 6th. The courts refuse to hear the president's legal case. We're going to make sure the people can. And we've got this from Brian Babin, who says, confidence in our elections must be restored. If Congress doesn't act on January 6th, I'll object the Electoral College vote submissions on the House floor on behalf of the millions of Americans, myself included, who do not trust the validity of this election. And we've got another one just today. Another incoming congresswoman announces objection to Electoral College votes. Lauren Boebert says, guided by the U.S. Constitution and my responsibility to constituents, I will object to the Electoral College results on January 6th. And so like I told you guys, it's spreading big time. We've got a ton of different House representatives, I think maybe at this point 25, 26 of them, who plan on challenging the results. There might be some who even plan on challenging it or might hop on the bandwagon come January 6th. So we'll just have to see what's happening. I think most of this stuff is actually happening behind closed doors. Forbes is reporting Trump and GOP members meet to discuss contesting Electoral College vote. And so we'll just have to see where some of these GOPers, and especially these new GOPers who got elected based on Trump's platform, based on his support, we'll have to see where their loyalties lie, whether it's with the people and the president, or whether it's with the establishment. And let's just say I'm not too happy with the establishment so far. We were just talking about the president fighting for $2,000 stimulus checks for Americans with a very clear distinction to what the Democrats were offering. The Democrats want to just tack on $2,000 checks as an amendment on top of the plan already, increasing the spending by billions of dollars, which of course isn't exactly what the president asked for. The president wants to readjust the spending on foreign nations and to lobbyist groups and corporations and give it to the American people. That's something I can get behind. That's also something the Democrats are not behind. The Democrats don't want to spend less, they want to spend more. They don't want to find efficiencies and spend for the American people instead of their corporate and foreign interests. They just want to spend the money that grows on trees out of your taxpayer dollars on them and their corporate crony friends. And get this, the GOP GOP is already backstabbing Donald Trump. House minority leaders caught on call urging House representatives to kill Trump's $2,000 check demand. And when you're on the side of John Bolton, you know you're just on the wrong side of history. Here's a story of Bolton pretty much pushing the same thing. Bolton says Trump embarrassed GOP with coup stimulus, quote, stunt. He was never fit for presidency. Apparently, under John Bolton's understanding of how the GOP should run, seemingly similar to Mitch McConnell and McCarthy, giving stimulus to Americans who need it the most instead of giving money to foreign interest is a stunt and makes him not fit for president. Yeah, I'd say that makes him more fit for president than pretty much anyone else. He's the only president who's actually fought for the American people. And speaking for fighting for the American people, this is just breaking right over here as I'm recording this video. Hashtag fight for Trump. A tweet from Marjorie Taylor Greene who says, "At real Donald Trump deserves his day in court, and we are definitely going to give him his day in Congress. We have a rapidly growing group, House members and senators. January 6th challenge is on. Call your representative, call your senators. Hashtag fight for Trump." Listen to what she had to say.
Just finished with our meetings here at the White House this afternoon. We had a great planning session for our January 6th objection. Call your House reps, call your senators from your states. We've got to make sure they're on board, and we already have a lot of people engaged. Okay, stay tuned.
And so that's exactly where we're at right now. What it's going to lead to, I don't know, time will tell. But the clear distinction here, what's important is that you have some GOPers who have actually realized that the only reason they won their seats in the first place is because they got on the Trump agenda, and others who are trying to go back to the status quo of old, trying to revive something that is already dead. But you don't have the power of resurrection, and it's not happening. If anything, you won't resurrect the dead, you'll create the undead and create a zombie of the GOP. But let's move on to another thing which I think is quite important. I just told you guys, I don't know what's going to happen with the January 6th challenge. And if it does in fact fail, gotta start thinking about backup plans. And one thing Ted Cruz is doing, I will give him massive credit for. Check this out from First Words. Ted Cruz, and this was retweeted by Ted Cruz so you know that it's legit. Ted Cruz just urged Trump to submit both the Iran deal and the Paris Agreement to the Senate as treaties because, per the Cruz plan, the Senate would then formally reject both, and then, should Biden win, it'll cut off Biden from the knees. Pure genius from Cruz. And this is something that has to be done immediately, day one. The Paris Climate Accord and the Iran nuclear deal are some of the most catastrophically incompetent to just stupid foreign policy plans I have ever seen in my entire life. And crony establishment status quo Joe Biden with an absolute complete incompetence within the realm of foreign policy, who will basically sign anything that the establishment puts in front of him. Oh, just sign right over here, bucko. And he signs it. He plans day one to try to get these deals back implemented after Trump slashed them. An absolute foreign policy disaster waiting to happen. And under Ted Cruz's plan, once again, it would render Joe Biden even more of a lame duck president than he probably already will be. He's already got a special counsel under him. If the president can somehow manage to get another special counsel in relation to the whole Hunter scandal after Bill Barr leaves his post, then I mean, Joe's pretty much screwed right there. Now all Trump has to do is sign a bunch of executive orders targeting China, and most of the damage that Joe Biden probably planned on doing, well, tough luck making it happen. And look, it's already started. We've got this story right over here. Joe Biden to dismantle Trump's legal wall, inviting Central Americans to southern border. Democrats' understanding of illegal immigration at the southern border is a complete joke. They view it from a point of sympathy and emotion, but what they don't understand is what's going on at the southern border. Illegal immigration in general is a human trafficking racket. It's a racket that leads to the abuse of women, the abuse of workers, the abuse of children, and it further perpetuates corporate greed in the corporate establishment, taking advantage of low-skilled migrant workers. You lefties virtue signaling about the southern wall have the same policy proposals and the same policy plans as the Koch brothers. Wake up, you absolute weirdos. Not to mention it does absolutely nothing about the countries at hand. You take in those suffering from the country, but fix absolutely nothing of the core issue within the country itself. It's short-sighted, incompetent policy that leads to nothing but more suffering. And speaking of suffering, has the Mueller prosecution not created enough suffering already? Well, it's not over yet. Check this out. Weissman, who is the prosecutor under the Mueller probe, lashes out at Trump over Manafort and Stone pardons, cooks up a new plot to prosecute them for perjury and obstruction. The president has pardoned them, but the establishment is not done, and they will continue the witch hunt even after pardons, which is pretty much unprecedented. And it gets even worse. Witch hunt. Mueller prosecutor, of course, Weissman, says Trump Trump could face charges after pardons. So this is the left, folks. This is the establishment. This is the Democrat establishment, of course. Absolutely despicable, hate-filled people who just won't stop. They've lost it, folks, and the witch hunt will continue even after whatever happens on January 20th. But that's what I got for you guys on this one. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please make sure to leave a like, a comment, subscribe, share the video as much as possible, and of course, a big, massive Merry Christmas from the Liberal Hivemind to you and your family. Have a good time, be responsible, don't drink and drive, and I'll see you on the next one.